From an early age, Sophia Mitchell understood that love in her family came with conditions, and it was never distributed equally. Growing up in a modest, blue-sided home in a northern Boston suburb, she lived under the weight of quiet favoritism and unspoken rules. Her father, George, always promised to repaint the faded exterior each summer but never followed through. Her mother, Linda, with her meticulously styled hair and never-chipped red nails, reigned over the household like a suburban queen obsessed with appearances and total control. Sophia, the eldest daughter, had her mother's sharp cheekbones and sharper mind. But it was her younger sister, Chloe, who had inherited their father's soft blue eyes and a charming smile that seemed to win hearts without trying. From childhood, it was clear Chloe could do no wrong and Sophia could do no right. When Sophia brought home straight A's, her mother barely looked up from her coffee. But when Chloe managed a C+, Linda showered her with praise and a celebratory trip for frozen yogurt. At first, Sophia tried harder. She joined the debate team ACE tests and never missed a day of school. But her achievements were met with increasing demands, not recognition. Chloe, meanwhile, floated through high school on a social cloud, and their mother beamed at every cheerleading game. Sophia eventually learned the painful truth in her family: praise was currency, and she wasn't rich in whatever it took to earn it. So instead of chasing her mother's approval, she quietly began planning her escape. When college application season came, Linda insisted Sophia attend a community college to save money. But behind closed doors, Sophia was applying to top universities across the country. She did it all alone, no help, no guidance, just grit and ambition. And when the acceptance letter from Emerson University arrived, complete with a partial scholarship, the fallout was nuclear. Linda waved the letter like it was a court summons. "Who's going to pay for this?" she snapped. "We've been saving for Chloe's private college fund." It was the first time Sophia saw the truth laid bare. She was never the priority. With a heart pounding from fear and defiance, she stood her ground. "I'll pay for it myself," she said. "I don't need your help." And she meant it. Sophia began her college journey without a send-off dinner, no hugs at the car, and certainly no "we're proud of you" from her mother. Instead, she left home one misty morning with a beat-up suitcase, a partial scholarship, and a silent vow she would build her future alone if she had to. Emerson University, nestled in the heart of bustling Boston, was full of bright-eyed students with big dreams. While her classmates talked about spring breaks in Cancun or frat parties, Sophia worked late-night shifts at a high-end restaurant in Beacon Hill. Dressed in crisp black attire, she carried dishes with poise memorized regulars' preferences and smiled even when her feet ached. She lived in a cramped dorm room, shared a bathroom with 3 girls, ate instant noodles, and studied past midnight after long shifts. But Sophia didn't complain. She turned those long, lonely nights into fuel. Working in that restaurant exposed her to executives and professionals who noticed her diligence. Some offered career advice, others offered networking tips. A few became her first professional mentors, drawn not by her pedigree, but by her persistence. Throughout those demanding years, her anchor was Grandma Ellie, the only family member who never made her feel like a disappointment. Grandma didn't care about GPA or resumes. She cared that Sophia stayed true to herself. During their weekly Sunday phone calls, she always said, "Don't let anyone clip your wings, Sophia. You were born to fly." When Grandma Ellie passed away during Sophia's senior year, the loss hit like a tidal wave. But along with the grief came an unexpected gift, a small inheritance of $75,000, and a letter that read, "Use this for your future, whatever that means to you. Your dreams are worth investing in." For the first time, Sophia felt seen not as a provider or disappointment, but as someone with potential worth nurturing. After graduation, Sophia didn't rush into the highest-paying job. Instead, she chose a firm where she could grow. Starting as a junior investment analyst, she quickly distinguished herself with sharp analysis and quiet leadership. While others boasted and maneuvered, she stayed grounded and it paid off. Meanwhile, Chloe dropped out of community college and bounced between jobs, still living off their parents. Yet in Linda's eyes, Chloe's missteps were just growing pains. Sophia's independence. A lack of family loyalty. Sophia said nothing. No confrontations, no lectures, just forward motion. In a world that once tried to silence her, Sophia was learning to let her success speak. By the time she turned 26, Sophia Mitchell had achieved what many spent a lifetime chasing. Once a broke college student serving filet mignon to men in suits, she was now a senior financial advisor at Whitestone Capital, one of Boston's most prestigious investment firms. Her office overlooked the Charles River where sailboats glided peacefully across the water, a daily reminder of just how far she'd come from the peeling paint suburb she grew up in. But all of it, her title, her salary, even the corner office, was a secret. Sophia never shared her success with her family. She lived modestly, drove a reliable but unremarkable sedan, and whenever asked how she was doing, she answered simply, "I'm managing." Not because she was ashamed, but because she knew exactly what would happen if her family found out she had made it. Her mother, Linda, had shown little interest in her career milestones. When Sophia called to share her promotion, Linda's response was flat. "Well, at least you've got decent benefits." When Sophia bought her first condo, her mother asked, "Is that neighborhood safe?" And when she was invited to speak at a Women in Finance conference, Linda commented, "Just make sure you wear something appropriate." Though Linda rarely acknowledged her achievements, she had no problem expecting Sophia to support her younger sister Chloe, who was now unemployed, racked with credit card debt, and still living at home. It started small. A phone bill here, a car payment there. Then came the request to co-sign loans. "She's your sister," Linda would say, as if biology made Sophia automatically responsible for cleaning up Chloe's poor choices. Sophia had helped once, then twice, but no one in the family knew that in reality she had already paid off Chloe's entire student loan debt, nearly $30,000, arranging with the lender to disguise it as a forgiveness grant. Covered her parents' mortgage payments for the past 3 years, after quietly learning that her father's accounting firm had been struggling, doing so through a blind trust so they wouldn't feel obligated. She had done all of it silently, without credit, without thanks. Not because she needed recognition, but because she feared what would happen if they knew. Because she knew exactly how her mother viewed resources, not as something to be grateful for, but as something to expect. Sophia didn't want to become a walking wallet in her own family. She didn't want her value reduced to her bank balance. So she stayed quiet. She let them think she was just getting by. She smiled when her mother made snide remarks about her being too picky with men. She bit her tongue when Chloe said things like, "Not everyone has it easy like you, Sophia." Sophia's success wasn't a lucky break. It was built on sacrifice, sleepless nights, and choices no one saw. And yet somehow in her family's eyes, it was never enough. Not enough to earn praise, not enough to be respected, not enough to be treated like anything other than a resource. But Sophia didn't chase their approval anymore. She had learned to let her boundaries be her power and her silence her protection. Sophia had never been fond of family gatherings, especially not the ones orchestrated by Linda Mitchell. But this time, the invitation came with an undercurrent of unease. Chloe and Trevor's engagement party hosted at the family home in suburban Andover, with the entire Whitmore family in attendance, as her mother proudly mentioned. From the tone of Linda's call, Sophia understood this wasn't just a party, it was a performance. Linda would choreograph every detail to present a picture-perfect family regardless of the fractures underneath. And Sophia, as usual, would be the reluctant prop. "Wear something simple, not too flashy," Linda advised. Chloe should be the star of the show. I'm not looking to compete for the spotlight, Sophia replied, tone neutral. But inside she felt the all-too-familiar tightening. The digs were subtle, but sharp. She knew the pattern. Chloe would be praised, Sophia would be undermined, and somewhere in the night, a financial ask would be wrapped in guilt and obligation. Logan, her fiancé, wanted to come, but an investor meeting kept him tied up. "Call me if it gets bad," he said. "I'll drive down within hours if needed." Sophia smiled. It's just one weekend. Still, the night before the party, she dreamed of the old house again, rooms shrinking around her, her mother's voice booming with judgment. She woke up breathless, heart pounding, reminding herself, "You're not a teenager anymore. You don't live under that roof." On Friday afternoon, she drove to Andover, mentally rehearsing boundaries. The house had changed, gleaming countertops, a new living room set, and high-end fixtures everywhere. Sophia couldn't help but wonder, where did the money come from? She knew her father's salary hadn't magically increased, and her mother still didn't work. Chloe greeted her in a blur of blonde curls and expensive perfume. "Trevor is amazing," she gushed. "You're going to love him." But Trevor was nowhere to be found, tied up with industry people, Chloe explained casually. Something about that felt off. A struggling actor too busy to attend his own engagement dinner. Dinner that evening was tight-lipped and full of false cheer. Linda tossed around phrases like the wedding of the decade and nothing but the best, while Sophia focused on her plate, trying not to get pulled into anything. While doing dishes, she overheard a conversation in the laundry room. "But you said the family would help pay," Chloe whispered, sounding panicked. "They will," Linda replied, voice low but firm. "We've already made deposits. Don't worry, we have options." That word options sent a chill down Sophia's spine. That night, Sophia texted Logan, still standing, "But I think the storm's coming." The next morning, the Mitchell household transformed into a Pinterest-worthy set. Tents rose in the backyard, white roses and hydrangeas lined every table, and Linda, dressed in a champagne-colored silk dress, directed every detail with militant precision. Sophia kept her head down, helping with decor, arranging gifts, and quietly enduring backhanded comments from distant relatives like, "Still no kids. Don't wait too long. That career won't keep you warm at night." Trevor finally arrived late, overdressed and smug. When he shook Sophia's hand, his eyes flicked to her watch, lingering just a second too long before flashing a rehearsed smile. The party unfolded like a magazine spread. Chloe emerged in a blush pink dress, Trevor beside her as a string quartet played softly. Champagne flowed, and then came the announcement. "We dream of a wedding at Willow Hill," Chloe beamed. A 7-tier cake, a Parisian gown, and a 3-week honeymoon in the Maldives. She paused, then added, "We're so lucky to have family who believes that investing in our special day is an investment in our happiness." Her eyes locked directly with Sophia's. Sophia got the message, and for once she didn't shrink from it. Minutes later, Linda pulled her aside into the kitchen. Her voice was soft, but her intentions razor-sharp. "Trevor and Chloe are just facing some minor financial hiccups. We thought you with your great job could help. Just $50,000. Sophia straightened. "Logan and I are planning our own wedding. I can't and won't fund a wedding that's financially irresponsible." Linda's face hardened. "You always think only of yourself." "No," Sophia said quietly, voice trembling with fury. "You only see me as a checkbook." That was the breaking point. Linda stormed back into the party, her voice rising above the music. "Everyone," she shouted, "my daughter Sophia has decided that money is more important than family. She's refusing to help her sister's wedding." Gasps. Heads turned. Chloe's expression collapsed into disbelief. Sophia tried to remain calm, but before she could speak, Linda, seething, lunged toward the refreshment table, grabbed a coffee mug, and flung it in one quick, violent motion. The hot coffee hit Sophia square in the face. She cried out, not from pain alone, but from shock. Her dress soaked her cheeks, burning, eyes stinging. Guests froze. Someone screamed. Trevor muttered, "Is she insane?" And then the front door opened. Logan walked in. In seconds, he was by her side, napkins in one hand, his arm around her. "What the hell happened?" he demanded. Linda Ever, the actress, composed herself. "Just a misunderstanding. She upset me, refused to help. It wasn't that hot." Logan turned, voice sharp and steady. "You threw hot coffee in your daughter's face because she wouldn't bankroll someone else's wedding." Silence fell like a curtain. And just like that, nothing would ever be the same again. The moment the scalding coffee hit Sophia's face, it became more than just a family disaster. It became a trigger for long-buried truths to rise. Logan stood beside her, gaze sweeping across the stunned faces in the backyard. His eyes locked on Linda, still clinging to composure, though her hands were visibly trembling. "You're calling this a misunderstanding?" he asked, voice low and razor-sharp. Linda scoffed. "I lost my temper. She knows how selfish she's been." Sophia sat still, soaked and shaking, whether from pain, rage, or shame, it was hard to tell. Logan turned to the gathered crowd. The extended family frozen in silence, the Whitmores stunned and unsure where to look. "Maybe it's time I say a few things Sophia never wanted anyone to know," Logan said. His voice rang out crisp and clear. Linda instinctively took a step back. "Do you know who's been paying the mortgage on this house for the last 3 years?" Logan asked, eyes narrowed. "Sophia. Through a blind trust. She found out George's business was struggling and made sure you wouldn't lose your home without ever asking for credit." A murmur rippled through the crowd. "And Chloe's student loans, all $30,000 paid off by Sophia. She even instructed the lender to call it a forgiveness program so Chloe wouldn't feel burdened." Linda's mouth opened, but no sound came out. "And if you're wondering how Sophia managed to do all that," Logan continued, "maybe it's because you never really paid attention to who she became." He turned back to the guests. "Sophia isn't just a finance executive. She's a co-founder of Whitestone Ventures, one of the fastest-growing investment firms in the Northeast." All eyes swung to Sophia, still seated, soaked in coffee, but now holding her head a little higher. She built everything from nothing. No help, no family support. While you saved every dollar for Chloe, she worked, borrowed, and built. Logan bent down and took her hand gently. "And she never told you because she knew. If you found out, you wouldn't see her as a daughter. You'd see her as a wallet." The backyard was heavy with silence. "To be clear," Logan said finally, his tone steel, "we will be getting married on time as planned. And you," he looked straight at Linda, "are welcome only if you can respect the boundaries Sophia sets." Linda stood frozen. For the first time in her life, her role as matriarch of the Mitchell family was being publicly challenged, and no one, not George, not Chloe, stepped in to defend her. After the engagement party imploded, Sophia didn't go back to her parents' house to grab her overnight bag. Instead, she and Logan headed straight to a hotel. He ordered soup, brought her cold compresses, and created a pocket of calm in the middle of emotional wreckage. At the ER, the doctor confirmed she had first-degree burns, painful, but not disfiguring. Sophia didn't cry. Not because she was brave, but because she was numb. Sitting on the hospital bed in borrowed clothes, she realized something terrifyingly simple. Her mother had physically attacked her in front of family and friends, and still believed she was justified. Her phone buzzed nonstop that night. Messages poured in from extended relatives, friends, even Trevor. "Your family sounds complicated, but I'd still love to discuss potential investment synergies." She powered off the phone. The next morning, she called her therapist, Dr. Brooke Sanders, and was scheduled for an emergency session. There, for the first time, she said aloud, "I don't think my mother is a mother. Not in the way that word is supposed to mean." Brooke nodded, calm but unwavering. Physical violence, even once, is a line that cannot be dismissed. What was once emotional abuse has escalated, and it won't stop unless you draw a firm boundary. Over the following days, the family reacted in their usual disjointed ways. Chloe texted, "I didn't know any of this. I thought you were okay, but you never told me." George, her perpetually passive father, called sounding deeply shaken. "I should have stepped in. I should have said something years ago. I let your mother dominate everything and I'm sorry." Some relatives like Aunt Karen suddenly became sweet hinting at business ideas. Others sent passive-aggressive messages. "She's still your mother. Isn't forgiveness what family is all about?" Sophia didn't respond. Not because she had no answer, but because she no longer felt obligated to give one. In long conversations with Logan, she drew a line. If she doesn't acknowledge what she did, if she doesn't apologize, she's not invited to our wedding. And she meant it. 3 weeks after the incident, Sophia began to feel something she hadn't dared hope for in years: peace. Not the fragile quiet that settles when a family is between arguments, but real peace. The kind that comes from clear boundaries and no longer negotiating your worth. Each morning she woke in her own apartment. No guilt-laced voicemails from her mother, no obligation-filled texts. Logan was still there, steady and soft, always reminding her, "You don't have to earn love anymore. You're enough just as you are." With Dr. Brooks' help, Sophia began dismantling the beliefs her mother had planted deep inside her since childhood, that love had to be bought through sacrifice, that success was dangerous if it made others feel small, that being a daughter meant being agreeable, quiet, and never inconvenient. She rewrote them all. She learned to say no without apology. She learned to accept compliments without minimizing herself. She learned to believe that she deserved a life free of drama manipulation or transactional affection. As wedding planning resumed, Sophia and Logan chose to keep their original plan, a small coastal ceremony at an old lighthouse in Maine. No glitz, no pressure. Just people who truly loved them. Chloe texted asking to meet. Sophia agreed not to reconcile, but to see if there was anything real left between them. They met at a quiet cafe. Chloe arrived alone, wearing little makeup, no engagement ring, no designer bag. "I ended things with Trevor," she said. "Turns out he didn't really love me. He loved the idea of being connected to your bank account." Sophia didn't respond. She wasn't surprised. "I've started therapy too," Chloe added. "I want to understand why I ever thought you owed me anything." For the first time, Sophia saw a reflection of herself in her sister, a young woman struggling to escape the same controlling orbit. They didn't hug. They didn't cry. But as they parted, Chloe said something that stayed with Sophia for days. "I don't know if we can fix everything, but I don't want to keep living like this without trying." On the morning of her wedding, Sophia stood in front of a mirror inside the old lighthouse keeper's cottage on the coast of Maine. A soft veil framed her face, and her simple white lace gown hugged her gently, an affirmation that this was her day. Not her mother's, not anyone's expectations. Hers. Outside waves crashed rhythmically against the rocks, the sky stretched clear and endless, and the people who truly loved her were gathering. Alicia, her maid of honor and lifelong friend, adjusted the train of her dress. "Ready?" Sophia nodded. "Strangely, I don't feel sad that my mom's not here. I just feel free." Choosing not to invite Linda hadn't been easy, but it had been necessary. Sophia had written a letter, one final attempt, stating, "If you can't acknowledge your actions and offer a sincere apology, then your presence will only cause more harm than healing." Linda never replied. But George, her father, did. For the first time in decades of silence, he chose his daughter. "Your mother won't come under your conditions," he had said during a quiet lunch, just the two of them. "But I will. I'm not here to keep the peace. I'm here to stand for the truth." When he walked her down the aisle, surrounded by coastal blooms and sea air, neither of them spoke. And in that silence, something deep and steady passed between them, something that had taken years to build. Logan waited at the altar, eyes full of steadiness and warmth. The ceremony was simple, heartfelt, and sacred. No extravagance. Just freedom, the kind Sophia had carved out for herself, word by word, boundary by boundary. Later, as the sun dipped behind the cliffs and golden light filled the reception tent, Sophia noticed Chloe chatting with one of Logan's cousins, laughing, relaxed, unguarded. She looked real. No curated performance, no manufactured sweetness. Just a woman beginning to stand on her own 2 feet. As the evening drew to a close, Chloe approached her. "I have something for you," she said, holding out a small velvet box. Inside was their grandmother Ellie's pearl bracelet. "Mom doesn't know I took it, but I think Grandma would have wanted you to wear it today." Sophia's breath caught. The bracelet wasn't just jewelry, it was a quiet blessing from the only woman who had ever loved her the right way. She slipped it onto her wrist. "Thank you," she said softly, "for being brave enough to be different." As the final string lights dimmed and the last guests filtered out, Sophia sat alone on the lighthouse steps, her veil tucked beside her. The ocean waves rolled in steadily, needing no audience, just like her in that moment, no longer needing validation to feel whole. Logan joined her with 2 mugs of hot tea. They sat side by side without words, without explanation. After everything, what remained wasn't just a beautiful wedding, it was a deliberate choice to live differently. "How do you feel?" Logan asked, gently brushing her fingers. Sophia smiled, watching the tiny lights flicker across the distant hills. "I feel like I don't need permission to be myself anymore." The words didn't come as a declaration, but as a quiet truth finally unearthed. For so long she had lived as if approval were currency. As if she needed some invisible stamp from her mother, her family, society, permission to succeed, to shine, to be happy without guilt. Not anymore. For the first time in her life, she felt she owed no one an apology for becoming who she was meant to be. After the wedding, Sophia and Logan didn't jet off to some luxurious resort. Instead, they rented a quiet lakeside cabin in Vermont. They brewed coffee in the mornings, read novels by the fireplace in the afternoons, baked cookies at night, and talked about everything and nothing. There was no noise, no pressure, no one needing her except him, except herself. Chloe sent her a short email. "I've started rewriting my business plan. Would you be willing to look it over sometime, not as the wealthy big sister, but as someone I genuinely trust?" Sophia read the message twice, then smiled. She would. Gladly. Her father, George, began setting up monthly lunch meetings, just the 2 of them. No discussions about Linda. No digging into the past. Just 2 adults learning how to build something that had never existed before, a real father-daughter bond. As for Linda, she remained silent. No apology, no reply to Sophia's letter. And strangely, that was okay, because now Sophia understood something vital. Some doors close not to be reopened, but to protect you from walking back through them again. Freedom, she realized, was never something others gave. It was knowing deep down you don't need permission to live as your whole, unapologetic self.